Hello, and thanks for joining us once again this week for another edition of Spiritism, a closer look. Luiz Lima here, broadcasting from Orlando, Florida. You are on Kardec Radio, and don't forget, we are here every Wednesday at 7 p.m., Spiritism, a closer look. And tonight, we're going to take a closer look at abortion. Very difficult subject, very complex, I would say, to discuss with people in general because there is no consensus. Too many different opinions, too many different views on the subject. It depends a lot on the person, belief systems, religion, cultural views, cultural background, I would say, even better. So it's really one of these challenging subjects to discuss. But we are here as spiritists. So we are going to bring you the spiritist view on this thing. I think the debate starts, again, with different people. And that's why, we have so many different opinions. With the question, is it right? Is it wrong? Right? The problem is when you're asking if something is right or wrong, you have to use a certain reference. So, for example, I might use a certain reference and your reference might be different. So what is right for you might be wrong for me and vice versa. And that's for anything, not only abortion, anything, any subject of anything, even simple things. For example, the color of my shirt. So, if we use different shades of green, my color can be a light green or a dark green, depending on what we're using for a reference. So for us here, what do we use as a reference? We use, plain and simple, Spiritism's teachings. That's it. So whatever the reference you use because of your beliefs or belief system, religion, whatever, you have to define abortion within your own definition, within your belief system. What is abortion for you? Because it might not be the same thing for me. So we are using the same word for two different things, and that becomes very complicated. So you can't really argue or discuss or even talk about the subject if we are using different words for, the same word for different things. So the definition of abortion is different for everyone. In general, however, if we try to seek what we could say a universal definition of abortion, it would be something like the interruption or termination of a pregnancy. I would think that this, for the most part, fits all the definitions of abortion. In general, it's an interruption or termination of pregnancy. Now, along with that definition, it is necessary to also define the parameters within pregnancy that will establish what is and what is not abortion. For example, for some people is the beginning of life. For some other people is 6 weeks. For some other people is 12 weeks. Different opinions. There's no right and wrong. We're not talking about right and wrong. We're talking about different opinions. So, for example, for one person, abortion might start, anything you do before 6 weeks is okay. For other people, it's before 12 weeks. For other people, it's not at all. So this ties into a wider definition of things, which is the definition of life itself. And the true question then becomes, when does life start? And that's the most complex question of all. Because there is not a clear definition. Let me give you an example. If you go to the Medline Plus website, associated with the Webster's Dictionary. It's one of the most widely used sites for definition of medical terms. And if you seek for death, okay, death, I'm going to just read what's in there. Death is the irreversible cessation of all vital functions, especially as indicated by permanent stoppage of the heart, respiration, and brain activity, semicolon, the end of life. Which seems okay for most people. I would say, yeah, it's pretty much a universal definition of death. Now, on the same dictionary, what is life? Definition of life: the quality that distinguishes a vital and functional plant or animal from a dead body. That's the definition. What does it mean exactly? It means that science cannot define life. And that's why it becomes complicated. Science cannot define life because life is not material only. Life is more than just material. There's something else. So it's very difficult to define life. And if we can't define life, we don't have a universal reference for what life is. So life might be one thing for you, might be different for me. So this inability to define life, which implies inability to define death, becomes a problem when trying to discuss the subject. Spiritism is about the intelligent principle, the study and evolution of the intelligent principle. So, for us, Spiritists, what matters is when the intelligent principle incarnates. So for us, the question, when does life begin, is not the right question. It's not the right question. The right question would be, when does the spirit attach itself to matter? That would be the right question for us, Spiritists. So let's go for the answer. When does the spirit, the incarnating spirit, attaches itself to matter? So let me give you a few things here. And let me bring you some information. When the sperms are around the egg, and just one of them is going to make it in, when they are around the egg, and the first one makes it in, that's the only one that's going to go in. It's a journey from the outer part of the egg into its center. That's the penetration of the sperm into the egg. That journey from the boundary, the outer boundary, into the center takes 4 minutes. 4 minutes. Once it reaches the center, the male and the female nuclei are gonna go into a fusion process. That process takes 15 minutes. That is the conception. So you see, the conception itself, it's only completed after 19 minutes. 4 minutes for the journey into the center and 15 minutes for the fusion of the male and female nuclei. When that is done, that's when the incarnating spirit ties into matter. There's a fluidic tie, which, by the way, it's very tenuous and very easy to break. It's very easy to break. But that's conception. And for us, Spiritists, that is when life begins, at conception. So any sort of intervention, termination, whatever name you want to use, which we're going to go through in details now, but whatever name, after that point, for us, Spiritists, is abortion. 3 days, 2 weeks, 4 months, doesn't matter. After conception, we are killing lives from the Spiritist point of view. So let's go into a line of thought here so we can all be on the same page. Abortion can be voluntary or involuntary. So let's talk about the involuntary first, which is easier. That's what we typically, socially, we say miscarriage. It's a very common term. That can happen for a number of reasons. We're going to bring some. Number one, the imperfections of matter can cause such death. That's on the Spirit's book, question 346. The imperfections of matter. Reason number two for involuntary abortion, miscarriage. The incarnating spirit recoils from the trials he had previously chosen. Give up. That's it. I'm not going. I give up. That's in the Spirit's book, question 345. That would be a reason number two. Reason number three for involuntary abortion. The incarnating spirit needs to partially recompose or rearrange its perispirit due to previous moral damage from something done wrong, way wrong in previous life. So the perispirit got so damaged that you have to go through a process to regain, the spirit has to go through a process to regain the ability of forming a new body. And that will be done by attaching its fluidic tie to an egg and a sperm that have just gone into conception, and it can control that process for a little bit. It doesn't have to go all the way through clinical birth. That would depend on the case, of course. That would be enough for the spirit to regain that ability to redo its perispirit, and then it can detach. That would be a reason. Again, we are talking about involuntary abortion. Another reason, karmic reasons. There's different possibilities here. For example, a mother that killed young children, a lot of young children, in a previous life. So now she wants her own children. She won't have it. Not going to have it. She has to offset the wrongdoings. This is one of the ways to do it. Another karmic reason could be a mother who has performed abortion, maybe several of them, in a previous life or in this life at an earlier time. Now she wants to have a baby. She wants, to have her family. Can't do it. Needs to be offset first. Another karmic reason could be a necessary experience for the mother, the father, the close family members to have this to go through this experience of having an involuntary abortion. They won't touch their baby. And it could be also a necessary experience for the parents, for karmic reasons, for example. They have to go. We are all going through trials and expiations. So they have to as well. That could be reason. So again, involuntary abortion. Imperfections of matter, the spirit gives up. Spirit needs to redo its perispirit, and some karmic reasons. Those would be possible reasons for an involuntary abortion, miscarriage. Now let's talk about the more complicated one, voluntary abortion. or intentional. So there's an intention, something invasive. It's an aggression against the body. A few things that we need to go through here. First of all, although it is intentional, it could be, there are cases where you have to induce the abortion with medical procedures. That would be the case when, for example, the mother's life is in danger, so you have to make a choice who lives and who doesn't. So the Spirit's book in question 359 tells us, the Spirit tells us, we in cases like this, we preserve the life of the mother who is already in course. And the Spirit, the incarnating Spirit, is not going to be born on this life. You will seek another opportunity later. But it's invasive because it's induced by, a medical team, clinical. It's not involuntary, it's voluntary, intentional. Here's another reason. The mother simply doesn't want to continue the pregnancy. We're not judging reasons here, please. That's not it. That's not what this is for today. So she just doesn't want to go ahead and continue with the pregnancy. However, there are other ways. For example, adoption. Adoption is available. I mean, a lot of people, a lot of mothers and fathers to be can have biological babies, so they would adopt. So it's an option. It's an option. Also, for voluntary abortion, a third reason that makes it happen: the use of abortive birth control devices, medicine, whatever it is. Some of these birth control devices, or even medicine, they simply make the environment unfriendly for fertilization. In these cases, fertilization never occurred. If it never occurred, it doesn't make sense talking about abortion. This is not abortion. You see, the process has to be stopped or interrupted, if you will, before the sperm get into the egg. And the second type of abortive that the mother simply doesn't want to do it is the birth control method that destroys the embryo or the fetus. Destroys, just kills it. So involuntary abortion has some reasons that we discussed. Voluntary abortion has its reasons. However, it attempts against life. It's an aggression to life. So abortion is the termination of pregnancy anywhere between conception and birth for us Spiritists. Anywhere between conception and birth. No 2 weeks, no 6 weeks, no 12 weeks. Conception took place, life starts. The baby is out, at birth, that's it. Pregnancy ends. Anything after the birth, anything against the newborn babe after that is homicide. That's a whole different ballgame. Now, there are some interesting facts here. For example, what are the consequences of this? So for the incarnating Spirit, it works like an accident. He didn't do anything. He is there, attached to the physical matter, and suddenly somebody, kills it. So it is seen as an accident. The incarnating Spirit didn't do anything against the self. It just happened. That's in the Spirit's book, question 357. So for the spirit, it's going to have to start again on a new experience, on a new pregnancy later. Now, that's for the spirit. Now, for the mother, we're talking about voluntary abortion. For the mother and all those involved, family members, father, husband, whatever it is, for all those involved, they have taken the life of a human being, even if it's before its birth. So there are consequences. There's a transgression of the law of God here, as the Spirit tells us in question 358. So if there's a transgression, there will be consequences. Somewhere along the way, this is going to have to be offset. And like we mentioned before, one of the ways to offset is you will not be able to have children later when you want. And you want so bad, but you can't. Because you are under trials and expiations. So Spiritism does not condemn or prohibit anything. We're not here to condemn or prohibit anything. Spiritism is a body of knowledge that provides information. What we do with that information, free will. It's different for everyone. Now, there are some interesting things. For example, for those who are not part of it, for those who are watching abortion take place, or just hear on the news or something, and this comes and goes, by the way, on the news, right? It's because it's a difficult situation, so it comes out for debate, and nobody talks about it for a few weeks, then it comes back into makes it to national news, then it stops. It's complicated. But performing an abortion, if you look from the higher spiritist point of view, it means a cry for help from both, from the unborn baby and from the mother. It's a cry for help. So, yeah, there are several people and organizations, by the way, that will help people in these situations. And one of the ways they help is psychologically, and trying to convince the mother to give their baby up for adoption, for example, instead of just performing the abortion. Give it to adoption. It will be welcome into another family. Absolutely will. You're still doing a good thing. So it would be like this. What makes you think that your life is worth more than the life that you're going to take? Right? We're all the same, equally seen by God. So what makes you think? What makes some of us think that taking somebody's life is the right thing to do? Why is my life worth more than that one? And would you like to have it done to you by someone else, seize your life? That's the golden rule, right? You don't want it, don't do it. So, to wrap up the subject, voluntary and involuntary abortion. I think it's interesting if you can go to the Spirit's book, take a closer look at all the questions. There's a set of questions in there, about 2.5 pages. They are very interesting questions. We kind of went through them here by just talking, but it's good to see in the format of a question and an answer. So Allan Kardec will ask, the spirits will answer. So do it. I really encourage you to do it. And again, there are ways to avoid if you don't want to continue. Adoption is one of them. Thank you very much for joining us tonight for this quick talk about abortion under the Spiritist view. We'll see you next time right here on Kardec Radio, Spiritism A Closer Look, every Wednesday at 7 p.m.